Hello, my name is Greg Scharf. As a council member and former two-time mayor, along with the Palo Alto City Council, many former city council members and mayors are police officers and firefighters, as well as many community members and business leaders. I am urging you to vote yes on Measure E. Fixing Palo Alto's infrastructure has been a decades-long quest that we are finally on the verge of achieving. Let's close the final gap and get our infrastructure plan done. Measure E will ensure that Palo Alto can invest in critical city infrastructure and vital city services. City streets and sidewalks are aging and need to be maintained, repaired, and replaced. Our police and fire stations are not currently earthquake safe and lack reliable 911 communications. We need new and modern fire stations that are earthquake safe, where the fire engines can actually fit into the station. Our kids need bicycle safety improvements to enhance safe routes to school for all children. Not only do we need to complete the funding for a bicycle and pedestrian bridge over Highway 101 and connect Palo Alto to the Bay Trail, we need to build new parking garages downtown and along Cal Ave to help reduce traffic congestion and lessen neighborhood parking impacts, all while supporting our local merchants. Measure E will enact a modest 1.5% increase in the tax paid by out-of-town visitors staying in Palo Alto hotels who rely on our roads and other infrastructure, and essentially ensures that the business community contributes towards supporting our infrastructure needs. This amounts to about the cost of a cup of coffee on a $250 hotel bill. The infrastructure plan was developed by the 2010-14 Citizens Blue Ribbon Committee to address infrastructure needs which have been a community concern for decades. The passage of Measure E will ensure that our community's infrastructure plan will be completed, that our bicycle and pedestrian plan will be implemented, that the long-promised improvements to Bixby Park at the site of our former dump will be made, that we will have a bicycle bridge over 101 connecting us to the Baylands, an earthquake-safe public safety building with modern and reliable 911 communications, and a new parking garage in the California Avenue Business District and another parking garage downtown, which will relieve the parking shortage, get cars out of the neighborhoods, and support our local merchants. Measure E is needed because construction costs have dramatically escalated. By some estimates, that escalation has been 55% over the last 6 to 7 years. The city has responded by scaling back the pedestrian and bicycle bridge and directing the city manager to cut the city budget by $4 million and value engineer our infrastructure projects to cut costs. Given the dramatic cost escalation, new revenue is needed to ensure that Palo Alto fulfills its commitment to complete its infrastructure plan. This plan was started in 2010 thanks to the Citizens Infrastructure Blue Ribbon Committee and finalized by the city in 2014. The community and the City Council have been seeking to complete a version of these infrastructure projects for decades. Infrastructure serves both residents and businesses. A substantial amount of our general fund tax dollars paid by residents are funding this infrastructure plan. Asking businesses to share this burden with our residents is fair and the right thing to do, as our city's business community will also benefit along with our residents. This tax is essentially a business tax, as most Palo Alto hotel users are corporate visitors. By law, all funds from Measure E will stay here in Palo Alto under local control and cannot be taken away by the state. These funds will complete Palo's infrastructure plan. Please join the Palo Alto City Council as well as community and business leaders and vote yes on Measure E. Thank you.
I am Stephanie Wansek. For 19 years, I have been the general manager of the Cardinal Hotel in downtown Palo Alto. I am also a representative of the newly formed Palo Alto Hotel Council and a board member of the Palo Alto Downtown Business and Professional Association. More important, I am proudly called Palo Alto my home for more than 23 years. Palo Alto faces a fiscal challenge today and in the upcoming years. Many long overdue city-led projects are unfunded, public sector pension costs are estimated to nearly double in 3 years, and competitive pressures with nearby cities already are hurting our downtown business community. This is why our Palo Alto Hotel Council, downtown business, and fellow residents are increasingly concerned about the impact Measure E will have. Measure E will increase a tax on hotel guests to 15.5%. That rate will be the highest transient occupancy tax in the state of California, higher than San Francisco, higher than Los Angeles, and higher than our neighboring cities. It is easy to say this tax doesn't impact city residents, as hotel guests will bear its burden. That is only one of the falsehoods being used to sell Measure E. Here are a couple of facts we should all consider if Measure E passes. The city's long list of much-needed infrastructure projects to be funded by Measure E is the same list the City Council promised in 2014 and has yet to fulfill. That list now costs more than $100 million more than original estimates, with none of the projects completed. What happened to the funding 4 years ago? Funds generated by Measure E will not be earmarked for specific projects, as transient occupancy tax revenue goes directly to the city's general fund, which the city can spend however it wants, including salary increases and exponentially escalating pension costs. Will Palo Alto voters be asked to pay more to fund the same projects 4 years from now? Contrary to what proponents propose, the projected $2.55 million additional funds raised annually by Measure E will be a drop in the bucket to address the $76 million gap in funding that the City of Palo Alto's April estimate would require to fund all the projects listed in the 2014 City Council Infrastructure Plan. Palo Alto faces an almost doubling of the public sector pension costs in the next 3 years, which will increase the income-spend gap at City Hall. The city's own recent polling sought information about new sales, transfer, and parcel taxes. As residents, not just hotel operators, we're fearful the transient occupancy tax is only the first of many taxes looming that we can't afford. The proposition of saddling Palo Alto hotels with the highest tax in the state already is hurting our business and the great employees we have. The majority of our guests are business travelers whose expenditures are closely watched. Given the choice of paying 15.5% in taxes in Palo Alto or staying in nearby Mountain View, where the TOT tax is 10% and has been that way for 27 years, the tax is no longer a cup of coffee, as one proponent so arrogantly claims. There has been mention of city leaders of numerous cities and their TOT taxes. A 15.5% tax in Palo Alto would be the highest in the state. Currently, Anaheim has the highest tax rate at 15%. Healdsburg, who proponents of Measure E falsely have said has a 16% tax, has a 14% tax, with a 2% hotel-imposed Healdsburg promotion assessment that goes directly to the Healdsburg Tourism Improvement District, not into the general fund. These are monumental fiscal problems that challenge the City Council and city staff to work harder, to make difficult choices, and to sharpen pencils if they want to stabilize the financial health of the City of Palo Alto. Before we rush into a tax that will do more harm than good, we need greater transparency, straight financial talk, and less political posturing to know where our city's finances are headed and how taxpayers' money will be spent. We don't need to be bamboozled into thinking that tax that raises $2.5 million annually will be the elixir for the $76 million shortfall in infrastructure spending. We don't need to be bamboozled into thinking that city leaders aren't eyeing sales, parcel, and real estate transfer taxes for all of us. We don't need to be bamboozled about the doubling of pension obligations to 14.4% in the next 3 years with no plans to pay for them. We don't need to be harmed by a third transient occupancy tax increase in 11 years that will be the highest in the state, chase away business, and reduce the funding measure proponents optimistically say will appear. As a businesswoman, as a resident, and as a concerned citizen, my request for every Palo Alto voter is to remind the city leaders to manage existing budgets with transparent accountability before overburdening hotels and then residents who give so much to Palo Alto. Please vote no on Measure E.